Hi everybody, my name is Dave Marsh. I'd like to welcome you to this matrix tutorial. And today we're going to take a look at how to run and customize a hot sheet in Matrix. Now before I begin, I'd first like to mention that because each MLS may have slightly different requirements, the system that we'll be using during this tutorial may differ slightly from the one that you're currently working with. Nevertheless, the functionality is the same, and for the most part, whatever you see during this tutorial, you'll easily recognize in your own system. Now, for anyone who may not be familiar with a hot sheet, it's essentially a tool that displays all properties that have had a price or status change during a specific period of time. And to illustrate this, I'm going to divide this tutorial into two parts. In the first, we're going to take a look at how to run one of the default hot sheets that essentially displays all listing activity within the entire system. Next, we're going to see how to create a custom hot sheet that displays only the activity that's relevant to a specific client. So let's begin by first running a residential hot sheet. And to do this, I'll start by selecting this session from the panel's Timeframe option. Next, I'm going to select which property type that I'd like to see activity for. Now, assuming that I've just logged into Matrix, using this session essentially includes all of the listing activity since the last time that I ran this hot sheet in a previous session. In other words, these 1,142 matches represent all of the residential properties that have had either a status or price change since the last time that I ran this hot sheet in a previous Matrix session. Now, the exception to this is if it's your first time running this session for this specific hot sheet. In which case, using it for the first time will only show you the most recent activity from the past 24 hours. But regardless of when the activity begins, it will continue to accumulate properties during this session, each time adding new ones to the properties I've already seen. And if there's any confusion about what your results represent, simply select the number of matches for a full history breakdown, including the time frame, the property type, and any additional criteria that you may have included. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we also have some additional timeframe options to choose from, starting with New Only, which will only display the most recently modified listings that you haven't yet seen. For example, by selecting New Only and the residential property type, we see that there's been no new residential activity in the last few moments. And the reason for this is because in the entire system, there hasn't been any new status or price changes since the last time that we checked just a few moments ago. All right, so taking a look at some of the remaining time frame options, we're also able to see activity from the past 24 hours, today only, the past 3 days, the past 7 days, and finally during a custom period of time. And while most of these don't require any additional explanation, we're going to explore the custom option in more detail. And you notice that when it's selected, along with any of my existing hot sheets, it now reveals a panel with additional custom timeframe options, including viewing all listing activity from a specific date within the past 30 days. In other words, this will display any new and updated listings in the system from this property type since that date. Now below that option, you'll notice that I can also display listings that have changed either since an exact time today or during a time range. All right, so just to recap, to run any of our default hot sheets, we first need to select a time frame, then select whichever property type that you'd like to view activity for. So now for the second part of this tutorial, I'm not really interested in the entire system's listing activity. I'm more interested in listings that have had a price increase or decrease in my client's favorite area. And to show this, I'm going to need to customize the hot sheet criteria to only display the results that matter to me. So we're going to begin by first selecting the time frame, and then the property type that we'd like to search. And just like earlier, this takes us back to our results, except this time, instead of seeing all of the activity for the entire system, I'm going to limit the results to just specific activity in my client's area. And so to customize this, let's begin by selecting which change types that I'd like to see, which for me are all of the listings that have had a price increase or decrease. Next, because my client's only looking for properties within a specific region and not the entire system, I'm going to need to isolate just the area that they're interested in, either by narrowing down the area using general location fields, or in this case, using any of the map shape tools to draw a very specific area on the map. All right, so now that I have my final results, since there's nothing else to add to my search, I'm going to save my criteria as a brand new custom hotsheet. So if I do want to run it again in the future, I don't have to recreate it. And it's also a good idea when naming your custom hotsheet to identify it with a name that you'll recognize, including who it's for, the property type, the price activity, and the area. And you'll notice that once you've saved your new custom hotsheet, it's now included with the rest of your collection on the dashboard. And again, because it's only the criteria that was saved, I'm able to choose any of the available timeframes whenever I run this in the future. Now to modify a hotsheet, simply make any adjustments to its criteria or map selection, then select Save. And finally, the hotsheet panel is able to contain a maximum of 10 hotsheets in total. So if you'd like to create a new custom one but don't have any available space, from the Manage Hotsheet section, you're able to free up additional space by deleting individual hotsheets that you no longer use, or by deleting everything and restoring the system defaults. All right, well, this concludes this Hotsheets tutorial. I'd like to thank you for watching, and I hope that you can join me for another session. Take care.